All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all, and welcome back to the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And if you'd like to send me an email, the email address is xzone@classic1220.ca. That's because we're coming to you from the studios of Classic 1220 here in St. Catharines. That's Classic 1220. And of course, we are your hometown radio. X Zone Nation, we're going to be talking about near-death experiences this hour. Now, the concept of near-death experiences, or NDEs, has been reported throughout history in various cultures and religions. While modern research on NDEs began in the 20th century, there are historical accounts of similar experiences that date back centuries. In ancient civilizations, some ancient civilizations such as the ancient Greeks and Egyptians, believed in an afterlife and reported experience of people being guided by spirits or divine beings after coming close to death. Now let's take a look at medieval accounts. During the Middle Ages, there were reports of visions of heaven, hell, and encounters with angels or demons by individuals who had these near-death experiences. These accounts often played a role in shaping religious beliefs and practices. Now let's go a little bit closer to home here. In the 19th century, there were documented cases of individuals reporting NDEs during medical emergencies or traumatic experiences. These reports began to attract the attention of researchers and scientists alike, leading to early investigations into the phenomenon. Now, here in the 20th century, the modern study of near-death experiences gained momentum in the mid-20th century with the publication of Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life, in 1975. This brought public attention and awareness to NDEs and sparked interest in the understanding of the psychological and spiritual aspects of these unique practices. Now, since then, research on NDEs have continued to evolve, with scientists and researchers exploring the underlying mechanisms and implications of these experiences. Today, NDEs are still a topic of ongoing research and debate in the fields such as psychology, neuroscience, and philosophy. Joining me now is paranormal author Lura Ketchledge, and Lura is coming to us from Ormond Beach in Florida. And Lura, welcome back to the X Zone. Has it really been 10 years?
Oh my gosh, yes, Rob, it has been 10 years since I've done an interview.
Wow. Welcome back home.
Well, thank you so much. You're very gracious to have me back.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. So what have you been doing, for the last 10 years? I noticed that you've written a number of books, and so tell us more about Lura, especially for the listeners who weren't with us 10 years ago when you were on with us last.
Well, gosh, I had a near-death experience at 19, which shifted my core values, the way I thought, the way I perceived physical reality and life itself. And back then, we're talking 45 years ago, you just didn't talk about these things. If you did, you were labeled, could be labeled a wackadoo, shall I say.
Wow.
But I had my near-death experience and had a terrible time processing it. But to be cathartic and get it out of my system, I used that near-death experience to write a book series and just, kind of everything spilled out, my experiences, my thoughts, my hopes, my dreams, and my values.
So tell us, Lura, what was your experience like?
My near-death experience?
Yes.
It was, let me take the listener back, because we may have some people that are under 50 and don't remember a time when there was no internet.
I have to tell you this.
Public discussion.
I have to tell you, 95% of our listeners are in between the ages of 30 and 45.
Oh, gracious. Yeah, they could hardly remember a time before the internet. You're right. You're right.
Was there a time before the internet, Craig?
Yeah, back in the olden days. But, gee, Rob, this was 1979, and it was a different world back then. I think a world that was a little bit less open to anything outside the box. Don't you agree?
I certainly do agree with that 100%.
Well, it was a pretty day when I had the accident, and I fell off of a horse going at a very high rate of speed, face first, into rocks.
Ouch.
And I never hit the ground because I left my body, my physical body, before impact. And it was surreal, but it was more real than physical reality. I could see better. I could hear better. I could perceive and understand things that I much more clear than I do right now.
So it seems not only was it a near-death experience, but it was also an awakening of some sort.
Oh, gosh, yes, that's exactly what it is. It was, I went through this black velvet tunnel at a very high rate of speed. I knew I could understand, I could comprehend that I was dead. I couldn't digest it because I was 19 and my life had just begun.
Right.
But one minute I was riding a horse, and it was like the next second I was dropped into the Atlantic Ocean. That was that abrupt. The accident happened in a split second, but leaving my body and never hitting the ground, I just went through layers of non-physical reality, I guess, or I could just, what's the most relatable word? Dimensions. Dimensions. I could perceive that there are souls or people there, but I was going somewhere else, and it was like being on a runaway train.
Wow.
I guess that's the best description. Yes. Yeah.
So based on what you said, that, you felt as if you went into another dimension, is it possible that what we call heaven, or what we perceive to be what's at the end of the tunnel, is actually a different dimension?
Correct. Later on, I've come to believe that, heaven and hell are kind of like people-created beliefs.
Yes.
I had to sort of let go of my belief system. And I'm a minister's granddaughter, and I was raised I'm a Protestant.
Right.
I was raised in the church and very, very active in the church, so nothing had prepared me for this. I think that's the best description that I can give. But I went through this really, really a dark tunnel, and it was velvety smooth, and I was still me. I had... I felt like I still had my body, hands, feet, face, hair, things like that. And I couldn't understand how I could be moving this quickly.
As a minister's granddaughter, you might appreciate this, that there are several interpretations of biblical passages that some biblical scholars believe that are references to the near-death experiences. And one of the most commonly cited examples is the story of the Apostle Paul's experience in the New Testament in Corinthians, let me see if my memory serves me correct, Corinthians 2:12-4, where Paul describes being caught up to the third heaven and hearing things that he could not be told, which some interpret as a possible near-death experience. And then, as we said at the beginning of this segment, There are near-death experiences that have been recorded by the ancient civilizations, medieval accounts, Middle Ages, 19th century, 20th century. So why would anybody think that anybody who is claiming to have had a near-death experience would be a little bit of woo-woo?
That's a really good point. I had someone very unkindly make a comment to me, and I said, well, go back to your Bible.
Yes.
And read the passage. I was in the spirit.
Yeah.
That's what I have said. Though, I don't pretend to be an expert in anything. I can just share what happened to me. But do you want me to tell you about the best thing that ever happened?
Yeah, we've got about 2 minutes before I have to take my break, so go ahead.
I went directly to my late grandfather.
Wow.
And he was waiting for me, and he was glad to see me.
I don't doubt it. You're a very nice person.
Thank you. But it was absolutely the most exquisite experience, the best. And it was such a relief to see him because I was so shaken up. And it was just, he looked like him, but his eyes were so blue and vivid, and my hand still felt small in his, and that was the greatest comfort in this whole experience.
Wow. I've had so many people on the show describing near-death experiences. In fact, I remember way back when when I first had Raymond Moody on the show, and I've had him on a number of times since, that more and more people around the world are reporting near-death experiences. And an emergency trauma surgeon by the name of Dr. Amatuzio is one of the greatest proponents of near-death experience after she had her own. And then she started collecting information and research on near-death experiences from people in hospitals. And then doctors who were talking to her about the patients that claim to have had this out-of-body experience, which was related as a near-death experience. So I'm a believer, as many people like yourself who make these claims, and they don't vary. It can't be just an imagination. It just can't be anything, but in my opinion, but the truth. Yeah.
I've spoken with Dr. Moody. His research is just fascinating,
It is.
And people are getting revived now.
Yeah.
That normally couldn't have been brought back. I think that's the key, and communication.
That's true, and you and I have to take our break, so please stand by, Lura. Exonation, our guest this hour is Lura Ketchledge, and if you'd like to contact Lura, her website is, are you ready for this, Exonation? LuraKetchledge.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.
Happy Chinese New Year to Rob McConnell and all the members of the X-Zone Nation, from all your friends and listeners in China. 2024 is the year of the dragon. If you were born in 1928, 1940, 1952, 1964, 1976, 1988, 2000, 2012, or 2024, this is your year. And Rob McConnell, since you were born in 1952, this is your year, the year of the dragon. You are charismatic, sincere, and ambitious. Dragons are courageous leaders who always love a challenge. For all dragons, your outlook for 2024 is that this year will bring you good luck. You will flourish in your relationships and career. If you were born in 1929, 1941, 1953, 1965, 1977, 1989, 2001, or 2013, your sign is the snake. You are perceptive, intelligent, and composed. Snakes are motivated and can carry out any task from beginning to end. For the snake, your outlook for 2024 snake is that this year you will face all challenges head on. Proactive planning will bring you closer to your goals. If you were born in 1930, 1942, 1954, 1966, 1978, 1990, 2002 or 2014, you are the horse. You are energetic, cheerful, and sociable. Horses are observant and enjoy excitement. For the horse, your outlook for 2024 is that hard work will help you to overcome obstacles and achieve success. Play to your strengths and you will prosper. If you were born in 1931, 1943, 1955, 1967, 1979, 1991, 2003, or 2015, your sign is the ram. You are considerate, creative, and attentive. Goats are gentle and determined to succeed. For the ram, your outlook for 2024 is that this year will bring you everything you need. Confidently stride towards your goals and prosperity will come to you. If you were born in 1932, 1944, 1956, 1968, 1980, 1992, 2004, or 2016, your sign is the monkey. You are sensible, thoughtful, and fearless. Monkeys are insightful and are quick to find a solution in difficult situations. For the snake, your outlook for 2024 is that this year will bring you wealth. Displaying your talents in your career will produce extraordinary results. If you were born in 1933, 1945, 1957, 1969, 1981, 1993, 2005, or 2017, your sign is the rooster. You are trustworthy, compassionate, and smart. Roosters have remarkable eloquence and are great communicators. For the rooster, your outlook for 2024 will bring you good luck in your relationships. Surround yourself with the company of those you love the most. If you were born in 1934, 1946, 1958, 1970, 1982, 1994, 2006, or 2018, your sign is the dog. You are loyal, patient, and dependable. Dogs are intuitive and inspire confidence in others. For the dog, your outlook for 2024 is to remain focused to reach the light at the end of the tunnel. Keep pushing forward and you will receive prosperity. If you were born in 1935, 1947, 1959, 1971, 1983, 1995, 2007, or 2019, your sign is the pig. The pig is hardworking, amicable, and earnest. Pigs are enthusiastic and are always ready to give a helping hand. For the pig, your outlook for 2024 is that you will prosper in the new year by making new connections. Remember to think before you act. If you were born in 1937, 1949, 1961, 1973, 1985, 1997, 2009, or 2021, your sign is the ox. You are reliable, honest, and responsible. Oxen are diligent and work hard in everything they do. For the rat, your outlook for 2024 is now is the time to slow down and reflect. You will benefit by creating a balance in all aspects of life. If you were born in 1938, 1950, 1962, 1974, 1986, 1998, 2010, or 2022, your sign is the tiger. You are adventurous, passionate, and generous. Tigers are confident individuals with a strong sense of justice. For the tiger, your outlook for 2024 is that this year will bring you prosperity. Seize new opportunities to achieve success. If you were born in 1939, 1951, 1963, 1975, 1987, 1999, 2011, or 2023, your sign is the rabbit. You are kind-hearted, optimistic, and clever. Rabbits are witty and elegant in nature. For the rabbit, your outlook for 2024 is that hard work will bring you abundance. Remember to stop and appreciate auspicious moments along the way. Happy Chinese New Year to one and all. For the X Zone Broadcast Network and the X Zone Radio and TV show in Hong Kong, I am Wang Jing. Visit us online at www.xzbn.net. At the vision of Rama McConnell Media Company in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, www.realmar.com.
Now, I think I know why you sounded so strange on the telephone. Well, it's hard when you discover what keeps you going, keeps you all alone. I dream so thought the smoke might never clear, and you hide it all behind endless cigarettes and tears. Somebody waits for the time, I know it never comes. You get yourself so high and you come down feeling blue.
And welcome back, everyone. Geez, after that feature that we did on the Year of the Dragon, I've got a hankering to go to a Chinese restaurant after the show and get some Chinese food. Talk about, getting the taste buds. But I want to thank everybody in our China branch and division for sending that to us. That was really cool. By the way, what sign of the dragon are you, Laura?
Oh, lucky me. It's not the tiger or the horse, but the pig.
Do you know what pig stands for?
What?
Pride, integrity, guts, and service.
Oh, that's very kind.
Okay, so near-death experiences. I have to take you, if you don't mind, if we go back and talk a little bit more about your near-death experience where you saw your grandfather.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very close to him as a child, and he died of cancer when I was 12. And to be reunited with him, well, just imagine being able to see one of the people that you love most in the world unexpectedly. It was a glorious experience.
How did you feel inside? Did you have any conscious recollection of what the temperature was, or were there any smells? Were there any sounds besides your grandfather?
Well, you don't. It wasn't hot or cold. The temperature felt perfect.
Really?
There was not any bad smells.
Mm.
Everything was clean, and as it should be. Like, it felt very natural.
Right.
Like slipping your foot into a comfortable shoe. The surroundings, even though it was surreal, felt welcoming, sort of like a long-forgotten memory. Does that make sense?
It certainly does, yeah. It certainly
and
does.
To see him, and he immediately, he was waiting for me, and he immediately took me on something that I didn't really like.
What was that?
A life's review.
Ooh.
And, I let go of the idea of heaven and hell immediately, and kind of the belief systems that I was brought up on and fed, that they were man-made. They just kind of disintegrated, and basically the experience was almost the only way I can interpret it is this. When you review your life, no one's judging you but yourself, and you're your own harshest critic. You see how your actions have hurt others or helped others, but you see it from their point of view, and you see it from your point of view, 2 points of view in tandem. And that is just mind-bending, isn't it?
It certainly is. But I have to ask you, were you afraid of death prior to your near-death experience?
Well, I was 19. I hadn't thought really much about it.
No, why I'm asking you that?
Yeah.
Why I'm asking you that is because
I really didn't have big fears about it. I just thought it was so much in my future that I hadn't thought about it.
You and I have to take our break at the bottom of the hour, so please stand by. And why I was asking you that, a number of the people that I've had on the show over the years who had any fear whatsoever of the unknown, of death, that was all changed after their near-death experience. They looked forward to when they reunited with their loved ones on the other side, after this part of the journey had ended, and they finally, were free of this body of ours, and they returned to spirit. Please stand by, Lura. We have to take a break. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, Lura Ketchledge, visit her website, LuraKetch.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.
When you discover what keeps you going, keeps you all alone. Our dreams.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. We're talking about near-death experiences this first hour of tonight's show. And for those of you who are just joining us now, a near-death experience, or NDE, is a subjective experience reported by people who have been close to death or who have been clinically dead and then revived. Now, while the exact scientific explanation of NDEs are not fully understood, there are several theories that attempt to explain them. First of all, let's talk about brain activity. Some researchers believe that the NDEs may be caused by changes in the brain activity during a period of reduced oxygen supply, such as during a cardiac arrest. Now, it's thought that the brain may release chemicals or hormones that produce vivid and sometimes hallucinatory experiences. Now, let's look at the psychological response and how some of those use psychology to try, and I underline try several times, a near-death experience. Another theory suggests that NDEs may be a psychological response to the fear and the stress of facing death. People experiencing NDEs may have calming and comforting experiences as a way to cope with this traumatic event. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Now, finally, let's talk about the spiritual or religious beliefs. Some people interpret NDEs as experience of an afterlife or spiritual dimension beyond the physical world. This interpretation is not scientifically proven and is based on personal beliefs and experiences. Overall, what do we think about all this? Well, overall, the scientific community continues to study NDEs to better understand the underlying mechanisms and potential implications for or understanding of consciousness and the human experience. Are you a believer or are you a skeptic? Send me an email, X-Zone at classic1220.ca. Lura, after you had your visit with your grandfather, how did you come back from the other side?
Well, I went out further. There was more to it.
Oh, let's hear
I
it,
had a
please.
life's review, and then I left him, and I was shown this great cathedral where on one side were a row of souls, and on another side another row of souls. And I remember looking out at this, I don't know, like 50 rows, 50 souls, and being told by someone behind me that this was who I was when I was a male, and the other side was when I was a female. The whole idea of reincarnation was bizarre. I don't even like it now, but that was a mind blower. And then I kept going, and I made it all the way to source after that. So it was much more long and involved than just a life review and coming back.
Now, what was the medical prognosis? Did the doctors have to use any resuscitation methods to bring you back?
Well, luckily, there were two riders behind me when I fell.
Mm-hmm.
They got off and somehow resuscitated me. I don't know how, because I was in pretty bad shape. My nose and my finger were broken. I had a massive concussion. Luckily, I had a hard hat on when I hit the horseback riding. When I fell off, I had a helmet on. But I don't know the particulars. I remember the ride to the hospital, falling unconscious and going in and out, but I didn't leave my body after that. When I got to the hospital, my mother was waiting there. She was an RN who worked there, and there was a team there. And, everything was taken very, very seriously until I told the doctor about my near-death experience, and he just stopped and said, "What drugs have you taken today?"
Oh, my gosh.
And my mother said, "My daughter doesn't take drugs. She has a head injury. I don't know what she's talking about, but let's, assess her." And I got the cold shoulder from the doctor. I got the message also not to talk about it. By the grace of God, I came back. And I don't know the particulars, but I just want to thank the two men that saved my life.
Now,
I never even got their names.
Maybe they were angels.
Well, they were pretty darn nice, let me tell you.
You were talking about when you were having your NDE, you went to this cathedral and then to the source.
Yes, and when I was at this cathedral or this long hall, it was very surreal. I knew there was a floor, but there wasn't one. But I was being shown. They were trying to explain to me that you've lived before, you've done this, and I must have been a poor student because I'm a repeater. I don't like reincarnation. It didn't feel good. But I left, and I went further. I traveled further out. I think the furthest you can go out, and I lost sense of having arms and legs, and I felt like the best description is of being a point of consciousness. And then it became fun and blissful. And I went to what I call source because I don't have a better name up for it, and was bursting. I know this sounds weird because I didn't have a sense of body, but I had a sense of being, and I didn't want for anything. I didn't have the anxiety about dying, or the kind of the creepiness of reincarnation, or the feeling of grief like I'd left everything. Everything was left behind, and it was like you're bursting through these, I don't know, clouds or this white mass, and there's other souls, and this beautiful harmonic humming or music that was floating through. And there was a sun. There had to be a sun or light, but I couldn't find one. And it was absolute joy, bliss, and you didn't want for anything, Rob, and that was weird, and that was surreal.
How long do you think your near-death experience lasted in the reality that you were in?
very, very long experience. I would say well over 24 hours, but I was only dead a few minutes, so they couldn't have brought me back without severe oxygen deprivation issues.
Right.
So time there isn't what time is here. And the beauty of it is, the beauty of it, and I think the real gift is that I'm not afraid of death, and I know that I'll be reunited with loved ones. But I also got the feeling that what you do here on earth, how you act in my life's review, is very important, like kindness, and not to trample on anybody or to interfere with their plan in life, their destiny.
So what was the inspiration for you to write your books?
Well, I had the near-death experience and all these, little paranormal events afterwards, the after effects of it. I'm not a medium. I'm not anybody special. I'm just a middle-class gal that died and came back, if that, just an ordinary person.
Well, wait a sec. Hold on here. I love how you said that. I'm nobody. I'm not a medium. I'm just an ordinary gal who had a near-death experience and came back. To me, that is something fantastic. That is something to, wow. I don't think
I feel gratitude. I feel gratitude, yes.
No, I just thought it was, you're very humble. Well,
I tell you, it's a humbling experience, a near-death experience. It's very, very humbling. It'll take you down to your bones and make you humble. But these ideas and, these realizations were very hard to express. I only talked to a couple family members for over 30 years. I just didn't talk about it with people. Mm-hmm. But it kept bubbling out, and I dreamt about a story, and that story I morphed into a book series, and I took the experiences and I wrote in depth about near-death experience and fictionalized it and tried to explain everything that happened to me, all these realizations, all these epiphanies about how things work on the other side, and I parlayed them into a book series because I didn't want to really get out there and pontificate with anyone. I just wanted to share how I think things work, and I chose the avenue of fiction because I just didn't feel that I was any authority, but maybe I could be a good explainer. I guess that's the best explanation for my books.
We were talking earlier about, God and the devil, or good and evil. And I think that this was a way that those way back in time could best try to describe what was going on in their lives at the time. And I often wonder how different the Bible would be written if the events that happened in the Bible were to happen today and then reported as it would be in today's means and terms. How different would it be?
Oh my gosh, completely. And remember, when the Bible was written, Rob, people weren't literate.
No, they weren't.
They didn't have a lot of communication, and the Bible was a how to do your life right book, kind of book, like, to be good. Most of organized religion is really set out with well intentions about how to be kind and generous and don't hurt others and follow the golden rule. And unfortunately, religion often gets exploited by people who want to use it as a weapon to get what they want, more power and more money.
Because their opinion of the golden rule is those who have the gold makes the rules. And we've seen this so many times throughout the different years of religion. The Catholic Church is the most, what is that, Craig, again? Is the wealthiest corporation in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. It truly is. Save a lot of money.
They sure do. Stand by. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. And X Zone Nation, Laura and I will be back on the other side as we continue talking about near-death experiences and talking to Lura about her books and how you, the members of the X Zone Nation, can get your copies. I'm Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca.
Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Jesus loves you more than you will know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God bless you, please, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Just an old-fashioned love song playing on the radio, and wrapped around the music is the sound of someone promising they'll never go. You swear you've heard it before as it slowly rambles on.
Welcome back, everyone. Lura Ketchledge is our special guest. Her website is LuraKetchledge.com. And before we get back to Lura, you know, we're talking about near-death experiences this hour with Lura. And I must tell you and share something with you that happened to me personally over this past weekend. I received a number of emails saying, Rob, are you dead? Now, why would you send me an email if you think I'm dead? That was my question. And it's because a number of the AI chats are, you know, if you type in Rob McConnell, the X Zone, paranormal, well, apparently I died in either 2016 or 2021. So to anybody who's wondering if I'm real or if I'm dead, no, I'm not dead. Yes, I am real. And this is just another example of how AI can screw things up so bad. I'm totally wondering what the future is going to be like, because so many people actually depend on what they find on AI. Talk about fake news. Holy cow. Anyway, thank you very much for all your concerns, all your emails, all your letters. And my wife thanks you for the condolences. It's just one of those days. First of all, Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your NDE with us. And you and I were talking a little bit during the commercial break about you wanted to share with listeners your feelings on death now.
Well, the wonderful thing about a near-death experience is when I came back, I really tried to get my life right. I knew what my priorities were and are, and I had my core values solidified. But to, life after death, a lot of people believe in it. I know it because I have been dead, and now I'm alive, and I know that there is an existence after your physical body dies. But the greatest gift I got, I'd like to share with you.
Please.
I did have a near-death experience, and because of it, as my father died, I was able to have a shared death experience during his transition. I was his caretaker. He had Parkinson's.
Oh,
I took care of my mom and dad as they were both dying for 5 years and was able to share my experiences with them, and hopefully that helped. But my father was very resistant. So as he lay dying, I finally had to take a nap because I'd been up for 2 days, and I was able to go literally out of body with him during his transition. And it was a beautiful shared death experience, which I didn't even know could happen. And to know with confidence that he exists and he's okay was just one of the most meaningful experiences of my life.
You know, we were talking before about your near-death experience and how you had the life review, and you were brought into the tabernacle, and on one side you said there were about 50 rows, and on each side of these 50 rows were souls. How
There was a row of souls of male, about 50 souls,
right.
that had been me.
Yes,
Creepy, because I'm a girly girl.
Yeah, but you also said that you don't believe in reincarnation.
Oh no, I do believe.
Oh, you
I
do
didn't
believe.
at the time.
Ah, okay.
I didn't like it. I still don't really, I'm not a fan of it. But I definitely believe because I was shown. You couldn't have talked me into it prior.
But why don't you like the idea of reincarnation?
Oh, I just don't think I want to go through it again. I think life's a pretty tough school.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of heartbreak, a lot of joy. I hope I'm the last timer that I've gotten it right and got my lessons learned and don't have to repeat, because I just don't want to go through it again. That's just kind of me.
But do you think that we actually have a choice if reincarnation is real, whether we do it again or we just hang up our mortal body and our mortal thoughts?
Probably don't have a choice. And you know what? Your perspective on the other side is very different than here. Maybe I'll be eager to do it again when I'm there. But my life is Lura Ketchledge. I feel like I don't care to, but never say never, I guess. I try to have a sense of humor about it all, because I do think it sounds quite strange when I tell these otherworldly experiences. At least it does for me. But if I hadn't gone through it, I just wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been open to it. So it was also a gift and a blessing, even though it's hard to comprehend some of these things.
How do you deal with skepticism?
Well, I had a friend say something to me, that was quite cutting and quite very skeptical. And I said, well, 100 years from now, we'll both be dead. And I'll come up to you in the afterlife and say, I told you so. I have to have some humor about it all, because it is kind of,
morbid?
Pretty, I am not a person that would have been open to this sort of thing if it hadn't happened to me. I'm not built that way. But I'm glad it happened, because it just changed everything, and everything is more appreciated. Food tastes better. Experiences are sweeter. Love is more tender.
We were talking about, reincarnation and learning. Maybe that's why you came back this time, was to experience death and to share what you learned with others, like you are doing, not only in the shows that you do, but in your books.
I think that's a great point, and I've thought about that quite a bit. When I wrote Near-Death Connection, I really go into detail, step by step, what an out-of-body experience and what your life review is truly like. I tried to be as articulate as possible. I tried to explain reincarnation as best I knew it and could comprehend it. I'm very humble because, this was such a shock and it had turned my belief system upside down. But what a great, great gift it all has been. It really has.
So tell us about, you've also written a book, I believe, entitled Paranormal Night Shift, My Ghost Story. What's that about?
Oh, no, those were television shows that I made a guest appearance. I made a guest appearance.
I see.
In My Ghost Story and Paranormal Night Shift. I had after my near-death experience, I was able to occasionally see a friend or a loved one that had passed. It opened up something. Though I'm not a psychic, I've had some paranormal experiences that I grapple with to this day. But my shared death experience with my dad was the most important, and I don't think it would have happened if I hadn't had an NDE.
Once again, was it fate? Was it coincidence, or was this part of your life plan and why you returned?
I think we have a life plan that's pretty darn hard to comprehend, but I think it all kind of fell into place. My life, I've had some very, very lucky breaks. I had suffered from autoimmune disease and had a few life and death experiences right there, but it gave me the strength to persevere, knowing that there was more than physical reality and knowing that I would be reunited with my grandparents and people that I loved. So that's a comforting, and you take that comfort through all of the hardships that we all experience. That comfort is there. It's the core of your identity, and I feel blessed.
So, if I'm not mistaken, now the books are the Near-Death Saga book series, Near-Death Connection, Throwaway Horses, and Reincarnation Connection. Yes,
they're long stories. They're fiction. It's a paranormal romance mystery series, and thank you for mentioning them.
Oh, my pleasure. And I understand that the people can actually go to your website at luraketch.com and purchase these books.
Yes, and they can read book previews.
Oh, super.
To see if it's a good fit for them.
Now, we've got about 2.5 minutes left. What are your final thoughts? What would you like to share with the Exo Nation? You and the Exo Nation. 2 minutes.
Well, I'd like to say, Rob, that, let's say you haven't had a near-death experience, but you've been wondering. Raymond Moody, and there's other people like Eben Alexander, their books could give you a lot of comfort. I've talked to both of these gentlemen. They're doctors. They're good explainers of the afterlife. And, we make a life plan. You plan for your retirement. You plan for your vacations. People need to make a plan for the afterlife. I think that that's very important to know where I'm going, and I'd like to know the rules of the road before I get there. So I've been doing a little planning in that department. And the planning is, to educate, to open up your mind, and while you're here, enjoy your life, be kind to others when you can, be generous when you can, and gosh, I think learning and knowing where we're going is a great comfort to people.
It's always better to have your trip planned out, whether it's on a GPS system or on a map. Because it's always good to know how to get from A to B, because so many times in life, as hard as you try to go to A to B, there's always something that pops up. So a plan is a great idea. Let our listeners know how they can find out more about you, my friend.
Well, if you just go to luraketch.com, I've done a lot of podcasts. I have my own podcast called Near Death TV, and I interviewed quite a few people about the after effects of near-death experience. But I tell you, what people need to do is they need to tune into you. You have wonderful guests that are terrific explainers of the afterlife, near-death experience, out of body, and that's where people can gather most of their information, Rob. I have to say, that's who I listen to is you.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Lura, congratulations on your books. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. And I look forward to having you back on the show again in the future.
Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself, my friend.
I will.
Blessings to you. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, Lura Ketchledge, visit luraketch.com. I'll be back on the other side of the short break as hour number 2 starts in about 30 seconds here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. And you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.
Playing on the radio.
Rob, are you still there?
And wrapped around the music is the sound of someone promising they'll never